The economy is booming. That's what Americans keep hearing. GDP is growing. The stock market is near record highs. Tech companies are worth trillions. AI is creating a new gold rush. Politicians say the economy is strong. Wall Street says the future is bright. And yet, millions of Americans feel like they are slowly drowning. People making six figures still live paycheck to paycheck. Young adults delay marriage because they cannot afford stability. Families making more money than ever somehow feel less financially secure. And an entire generation is starting to ask a dangerous question. If the economy is doing so well, why does life feel so financially impossible? Because modern America created something unprecedented, an economy that can grow enormously, while ordinary people fall behind inside it. And that may be the biggest financial myth of our time. For most of modern history, economic growth and rising living standards were connected. When the economy improved, ordinary people generally benefited too. Wages rose, homes became attainable, families accumulated savings, retirement became realistic. The American dream was built on that connection. But something changed. Today, America's economy and America's people are no longer moving at the same speed. The economy became global, but workers remained local. Capital became scalable, but salaries did not. Technology multiplied corporate productivity, without proportionally increasing financial security for workers. And slowly, almost invisibly, the rules changed. The economy kept growing, but the average American stopped feeling richer. That disconnect is the defining economic story of modern America. One of the biggest myths in America is this: if the stock market is booming, the country must be doing well. But most Americans do not live off stocks. They live off wages. And there is an enormous difference. A billionaire can gain hundreds of millions from a market rally, while a middle-class worker struggles to pay rent in the same month. Both realities can exist simultaneously. That's why economic headlines increasingly feel disconnected from ordinary life. The market rises, but groceries are still expensive. Tech stocks explode, but healthcare costs still crush families. Corporate profits surge, but housing becomes unaffordable. Because the modern economy rewards ownership far more aggressively than labor. If you own assets, inflation can make you richer. If you survive through wages, inflation can quietly destroy your future. And that is the hidden divide in America. Not simply rich versus poor, but owners versus earners. There was a time when earning $100,000 a year in America meant success. Today, in many cities, it means survival with nicer packaging. Think about modern expenses: taxes, rent or mortgage, healthcare, insurance, car payments, student loans, childcare, utilities, food, retirement savings. For millions of Americans, most income disappears before life even begins. And that creates a terrifying psychological trap. People look successful from the outside, while feeling financially anxious inside. You see someone driving a luxury SUV, but maybe they're financing it for 7 years. You see someone living in a luxury apartment, but maybe half their income disappears into rent. Modern America became extremely good at manufacturing the appearance of wealth. Actual financial freedom is much rarer. And social media intensified the illusion. Everyone looks rich online. Few people look financially secure. Those are not the same thing. America quietly transformed into a monthly payment economy. Everything became recurring. Your housing payment, your car payment, your phone payment, your subscriptions, your insurance, your debt. Modern consumers are no longer encouraged to own things. They are encouraged to maintain access. And corporations love this model. Because ownership ends transactions. Subscriptions never end. A person who buys once has limited value. A person trapped in recurring payments becomes permanent revenue. This changed consumer psychology completely. People stopped asking, "Can I afford this?" and started asking, "Can I survive the monthly payment?" That subtle shift transformed American life. Because monthly payments create dependence. One missed paycheck can threaten housing, transportation, healthcare, credit scores. Entire futures become dependent on uninterrupted income. And this is why layoffs feel so catastrophic now. Many people are not truly financially stable. They are temporarily liquid. This is the uncomfortable question nobody wants to ask. Who exactly benefits from modern economic growth? AI companies benefit. Asset owners benefit. Large corporations benefit. Investors benefit. But many workers experience growth differently. They experience it as rising prices, rising competition, rising expectations, rising instability. Technology made corporations more efficient than ever. But efficiency does not automatically create widespread prosperity. In fact, modern capitalism increasingly rewards scalability over labor intensity. A company can now generate billions with fewer employees than ever before. That is historically unusual, and AI may accelerate this trend dramatically. For decades, Americans feared robots replacing factory workers. Now software is threatening white-collar workers too. Writers, analysts, designers, programmers, support staff, entry-level office workers. The American middle class was never defined purely by income. It was defined by confidence in the future. The belief that hard work would eventually create stability. That belief is weakening. And when societies lose belief in upward mobility, everything changes. Trust erodes. People become cynical, angry, exhausted, not because they expect luxury, but because they expected progress. And increasingly, progress feels mathematically impossible. Young Americans look at housing prices, student debt, healthcare costs, stagnant purchasing power, and realize something unsettling. Their parents' version of middle-class life may no longer be achievable, not because they are lazy, not because they failed, but because the economic structure changed underneath them. The ladder still exists, but the distance between the steps became enormous. The most dangerous part of all this is normalization. People adapt surprisingly fast to financial stress. An entire generation is growing up believing constant anxiety is normal. Constant payments are normal. Debt is normal. Burnout is normal. Economic insecurity is normal. But normal does not mean healthy. And financially exhausted populations become easier to control. Why? Because financially desperate people cannot take risks. They cannot challenge systems. They cannot easily leave toxic jobs. They cannot pause. They become dependent on continuous income just to survive. And that creates a society optimized for productivity, not human flourishing. At this point, many people fall into despair. They assume the system is unbeatable. But that conclusion is dangerous. Because while individuals cannot control the entire economy, they can change how they interact with it. The first step is understanding the game. Most people are trying to look wealthy instead of become financially resilient. Those are completely different goals. The modern economy constantly pressures people to upgrade lifestyles. Bigger apartment, newer car, more subscriptions, more consumption. But every recurring payment reduces freedom. Financial freedom is not about appearing rich. It is about reducing dependence. That means lowering fixed expenses, avoiding lifestyle inflation, building real savings, owning appreciating assets, developing valuable skills, creating multiple income streams. Most importantly, stop measuring success by consumption. Measure it by flexibility. Can you survive job loss? Can you relocate? Can you think long-term? Can you buy time? That is real wealth. Not branding, not appearance, not financed luxury. Time, freedom, margin. And perhaps the most powerful financial skill in modern America is this: learning to resist artificial pressure. The pressure to constantly upgrade. The pressure to compete socially. The pressure to perform wealth online. Because the economy profits enormously from insecurity. A confident consumer spends carefully. An anxious consumer spends emotionally. And modern systems understand that perfectly. The economy may continue growing for years. AI may create trillion-dollar industries. The stock market may continue breaking records. But none of that automatically guarantees a better life for ordinary people. That is the myth. Economic growth without widespread stability eventually creates social exhaustion. And millions of Americans already feel it. So maybe the real question is not, how strong is the economy? Maybe the real question is, how much of that strength actually reaches ordinary lives? Because a society cannot call itself prosperous forever if its people increasingly feel trapped inside survival mode. And maybe the most important financial decision you can make now is refusing to let the modern economy turn your entire life into endless payments, endless anxiety, and endless comparison. Build margin, reduce dependence, own more than you owe. And remember this: A booming economy means nothing.
Hey, I'm Suri. And before you go, if this video gave you a new perspective or helped you think differently about money, life, or success, then maybe this channel is worth being part of. I spend hours researching, writing, and creating every single video, not just for views, but to create something meaningful, something real. So if you'd like to support the journey, subscribe and let's grow wiser together. Thank you for being here.